Merry FAQ. What's the FAQ indeed? Kings of War, errata and FAQ, version 1.14, December 2021. It's time. Let's take a look. I haven't pre-screened this to see if there's actually anything interesting in there. So you're going to get my live reaction right now as I remove the thumbnail on episode 9 of Kings of War Wednesday. During this jam-packed festive period, I've just managed to squeeze this show in between all kinds of festivities. It's just non-stop party town in a very safe and socially distant manner, of course. Don't want to be mingling and spreading those Omicron particles all over the world. We've got Saul Smith in the chat. Hello there. So, let's take a look and dive in face first into this festive frolic of an FAQ that just dropped either today or last night, was it? Anyway, so updated or new entries to this document are denoted with blue text. Okay, so anything blue, we're keeping our eyes peeled for that. If anyone's got any comments on anything as we go through, let me know, because there are a couple of things I might miss. I may miss the point of some of the updates. If it's not something that's been relevant to me or any of my armies, then maybe it won't be that interesting to me. So, here's an FAQ question that's new because it's in blue. If a unit suffers damage in the ranged phase and is engaged at the end of the ranged phase, does it take a nerve test? No. So I'd assume this is something that probably used to be clear, maybe in last edition, but perhaps hasn't been since then? Maybe. So a bit of clarifying going on there, which is nice. Because obviously that has affected my armies. There are times when I've surged units into combat after that unit has taken shooting damage, particularly with the Abyssal Dwarves and Undead, of course. Lots of shambling units available there. Next, okay, more surge stuff. Question: if surge movement would bring a unit into contact with an enemy unit through corner-to-corner contact only, would this be counted as a legal charge? No. Similarly to the rules preventing corner-to-corner charges, see page 21 of the Kings of War 3rd edition rulebook, this would not be considered a legal charge, which I think I would have assumed anyway, but there are some differences to the way a surge charge is worked out compared to a regular charge, or the charge that results from the surge contacts being made. So there are differences regarding which facing you're contacting and so on, and which facing you end up on, which I believe is still something that's in the rules, so maybe a bit of clarification there required because it does work slightly differently. I assume it's still the same. When do you roll to determine how many additional attacks you receive from special rules or attack profiles that grant a variable number of attacks? Answer: roll for the number of attacks every time you resolve a melee. Okay, so I assume that was probably clear in an old edition and not in this one. Another case of that, I imagine. So, some of these things are probably things that, when writing a new rule set, it wasn't a completely new game. So there are going to be things that are just kind of assumed that they're actually in there when really maybe they're not. So, just clarifying that. I don't know if anyone's ever played that incorrectly, because that's how it used to be, but if it wasn't actually explicitly stated that way, then I could see some confusion arising. How do spell, special rules, and variable attack profiles interact when you double or triple your attacks? Answer: calculate the total number of attacks gained from any spell, special rules, or variable attacks first, and then double, triple the total number of attacks. Again, I'm pretty sure everyone was playing it that way anyway. There may have just been some discrepancy in the current edition rules, perhaps. So, a little bit of clarification there. Do ranged weapon profiles with a set attack value, such as the Boomer Sergeant's boomstick weapon, benefit from additional attacks such as those granted from either Rampage or Slayer, e.g. Boomstick 12, Attack 8? Answer: no. So you cannot benefit such weapons with Rampage or Slayer. Makes sense. Now, those are new rules, of course, which I, for one, am quite excited about because they benefit some of the units that I like to run. So, particularly giants and other big monsters, quite a few of those have gained access to Rampage or Slayer, and also the items that give you Rampage or Slayer are available to certain things that maybe don't have that many attacks, but the attacks they do have are very potent. So with the Abyssal Dwarves, the Half-Breed Champion, for example, is one that I'm definitely going to be running. Question: how does it work when both players have units with special rules that allow them to redeploy, e.g. Thunderseers with the visions from the Rift upgrade? Answer: both players roll a single die each. The highest scorer decides who will redeploy one of their units first. Players will then alternate until all eligible units have been redeployed. Again, I would assume that's how people were doing it anyway. Probably. But it's one of those things, the general consensus seems to be to play it that way, but maybe the rule actually wasn't that clear on it. So if one person comes along and says, well, actually, if you look in the rules here, it's not quite clear how that's supposed to work, and then maybe that's the reason it's ended up being clarified now rather than previously, if it just hasn't come up yet, because everyone assumed that was how it was supposed to be done. Looking for more blue text. Bad Squiddo Games in the chat there. Obviously a Kings of War fanatic, of course. I've seen plenty of Bad Squiddo miniatures used actually in Kings of War armies. There's got to be some in my army somewhere. There's at least on my bases. There's lots of Bad Squiddo scenics on my bases. Paul says, I don't think there were multiple redeploys in the past. Oh, well, there you go then. So that's a bit of a change. I don't think I've had any units that use that ability anyway. So this is in blue, but then the rest of it isn't. So I assume this whole bit is new. So, moving and shooting. Amend this section to read, units that have received an at the double or charge order in their previous movement phase may not make ranged attacks. So I can assume that that's something that was just worded strangely, or maybe left out an important word in the rules. So just having a little bit of clarity added to it, which makes sense. Special rules. Add the following to the beginning of the fourth paragraph. If a unit has multiple instances of the same special rule, these have no additional effect. If a unit has two or more instances of the same special rule with an n value, the controlling player must choose which n value they wish to use. Okay. That sounds right. So I don't think that changes much. I think a lot of these are just changing the wording slightly. We've got Brad in the chat saying, what's going on, folks? Well, we're looking at the FAQ. See if there's anything spicy in there. So far, I haven't seen anything particularly life-changing. Just a lot of clarifications. Then we've got page 37. The text of rallying N should read as follows. Friendly core units within 6 inches of this unit have plus N to their wavering and route nerve values to a maximum of +2. This is cumulative, and then to a maximum total of 2+ has been removed if multiple units with rallying are in range. So are they just removing the repetition of the phrase maximum of +2? That's what it looks like. Okay then, so I'm not sure that actually changes anything. Next, the Bang It. The makeshift grenades weapon should read as follows. Makeshift grenades 12, attack 3, blast D3, piercing 1, shattering. How did that work before? I may have to... Can I just find the rule book right here? Okay, I've got my Kings of War rule book. From the fact it says page 360, I assume this is actually the main rulebook they're talking about. Let's have a look. Because it would be interesting to see what's actually changed here. So, let's see. Bang It. Makeshift grenades. 12 inches. Ah! So it didn't have a number of attacks before. So, I mean, the thing still has 3 attacks, so I think people would have assumed that it had 3, but I could see a case because often these special rule weapons like that will give you the number of attacks that it has as well. For example, when you add a ranged attack upgrade to things, sometimes it'll give you a specific number of attacks that that option has. So, okay, that makes sense. Clarifying that it is 3 attacks. Page 264, Elven Archmage, Master of Magic. Let's see what's changed on this one then. Page 264. Okay, here we go. Onto the elves. I don't think I've ever looked at this page ever before in my life, because it's elves on it, and who wants to look at that, honestly? So, the unique special rule should read as follows. The unit can re-roll all to hit rolls of a natural unmodified 1 with Banechant, Heal, Hex, Lightning Bolt, Mind Fog, Surge, and Wind Blast. Let's see what it actually says here in the book. Can re-roll hit rolls of natural unmodified 1 with Banechant, Heal, Hex, Lightning Bolt, Mind Fog, and Wind Blast. So it's added Surge. Interesting. So I assume Surge just became an option for this spellcaster. So that's why that's been added. Makes sense. Who's next? Who else is in blue? So these are for... to be superseded by Clash of Kings 22. Disregard this page in its entirety. Okay, I will then. Errata for Clash of Kings 22. Okay. Now, have I got that to hand? There's Halpi's Rift. Clash of Kings 22 might actually be in my army case, so I'm going to go and grab that right now. So you can look at the wall for a moment. Okay, I've got it. It's in my hand. Clash of Kings 2022. So, let's see what they changed here. So, let's go to the Halfling section, shall we? Page 49. What has changed exactly? I assume a lot of these were just mistakes in the book, because this is a very recent book. So, page 49, Sorcerer, Gastromancy. Amend this special rule to read. Okay, let's figure out what's different here. So, Gastromancy, Aura Wild Charge, Brutal, Life Leech, Rally are all still the same, it looks like. So what's different? Unless disordered, immediately before giving this unit a movement order, pick one of the following special rules. Unless disordered, immediately before giving this unit a movement order, pick one of the following special rules and roll 3 dice. If any of the dice score a 4+, apply the special rule to the unit. An n value is listed in the special rule. N is equal to the number of dice that score a 4+. What am I missing here? What is different? I'm not spotting anything that's actually different there. It must be very subtle in the wording if I can't even see it on the first read through. So I'm going to assume it's not important for that reason. Okay, Greedy Guts. Remove the word mighty and add the following special rule, mighty. The following keyword. Okay, makes sense. It was put in the keyword section by mistake rather than the special rules. That's simple enough. Stormforged Shrine. Okay, this is where it gets interesting then. Page 57. So the Stormforged Shrine. Well, it was previously 240 points, and it's now 190 points. So is that just a mistake that was in the book, or have they decided that it was just bad decision making and they've gone back on it and changed it? Or a mistake, one or the other. So I don't see any changes to its rules, it's just the points have gone down by 50. Well, have a quick look at its profile and see if it looks good for that level of points. So it's a Titan Spellcaster, Speed 5, Melee 4+, 8 attacks, Defense 5, Nerve -17. So it can cast Banechant, Host Shadow Beast, Lightning Bolt, Power of the Rift. You can increase the number of dice rolled with Bane Chant, Host Shadow Beast, and Lightning Bolt by 1 to a maximum of +3. That's pretty tasty. So successfully casting Bane Chant or Host Shadow Beast, the Stormforged Shrine may choose to cast either spell again with 1 less die on another appropriate Rift Forged unit within 12 inches, regardless of line of sight. This may continue until the casting is failed. Okay, that does sound really powerful, actually. So 190 points. That sounds like a bit of a steal to me. Obviously I would have to see it in action to make a real judgment on it, but on paper it sounds good, being able to cast lots of spells. And one thing to look out for with a spellcaster as well, quite often spellcasters, if you're talking about little wizards, that aren't drastically, you're not going to get like 5 wizards for the cost of one of these things, but a wizard quite often will get wavered when it gets shot with a single arrow sometimes. So it's pretty hardy, this thing. Good defense, good nerve. Just sounds pretty good. I haven't looked into the Riftforged Orcs too much, but if there are any players in there of the Riftforged Orcs, even though they've only just been released, then let me know what you think about that change. Looks pretty positive though. Page 58, Riftforger. Replace the Arcane Smithy unique special rule text with the following. So, where are we here? Arcane Smithy. The units may cast their Bane Chant or Host Shadow Beast spell while engaged with an enemy unit. Yep. If they do so. It doesn't say even if the Riftforger was issued a charge order this turn in the book, so I think that's the change. Okay. Interesting. So, page 62. Inspiring X and very inspiring. Amend this entry. Oh, this could be interesting. Oh, we've just gone past the beautiful piece of artwork there. The Abyssal Dwarves. That I've got myself a poster of, which is going to be mounted on the wall at some point. So, what are we looking at here? Inspiring and very inspiring. So, in all instances where a unit has the Inspiring X or Very Inspiring X special rule, change it to Inspiring or Very Inspiring respectively, with the exception of Inspiring Self only. And in here it says with the exception of Inspiring Self. So maybe that's just a little mistake that they forgot the word only there. Rampage. When attacking an enemy unit with infantry, heavy infantry, swarm or cavalry type. Gains additional attacks, and it removes on its profile until the end of the turn. Okay, so the sentence just ends earlier. Gains N additional attacks. I'm trying to figure out the implications of this in my mind. Does it actually change anything? The Slayer has the same thing. On its profile until the end of the turn. What's the basis for leaving out that text then? Why remove that? If there's anything major that does, then let me know, because I'm missing the reason for the removal of those words there. I'm not sure I'm quite gathering it. Next. Brad says, will your landlord be okay with you putting stuff up on the wall willy-nilly? Well, if I was going to put anything on the wall in here, then it would be done safely, so as to not anger the benevolent landlord. Sal says, I guess it's not altering the attack value itself. They gain additional attacks. So they're gaining them, but not on its profile. So if there's anything that is based on the attacks it has on its profile, specifically, is there anything that does that? The only thing I can think of off the top of my head, how do something like doppelgangers work? Do they take your number of attacks from your profile. So if it's still in the same turn, would they be even attacking you in the same turn because it's not your turn anymore? So yeah, I can't think of any relevance, unless there's something that we just haven't seen yet. If anyone knows what the implications of that change are, then let me know, because I can't think of anything. So page 67, Host Shadow Beast. So amend the effects section to read. So now, may only target a friendly unit with individual special rule is gone. For each hit scored, the target unit gains +1 attacks when attacking in melee and for the rest of the turn. Multiple subsequent questings from different sources are not cumulative, so it's now no longer only for friendly units with the individual special rule, apparently. Okay. Interesting. Sal says, oh, maybe they don't double for flanks. If they don't, that would be quite a significant change if we're talking about Slayer and Rampage here. If the extra attacks you gain do not double or triple for flank and rear charges, that would be quite a nerf already. So things like Giants. Terrifying if they hit you in the flank, as the rules stood. But do you not work out all the additional attacks that they gain and then just multiply it regardless of whether it's classed as on the profile or not? I don't know. Page 68, Talk of Dissonance. Let's see what that is. I've not even looked at all this stuff. So, once per game, choose an enemy unit with the spellcaster tier within 12 inches. Choose one of the spells known to that unit during the enemy player's following turn. This unit may not use the chosen spell. And what does it change to? Once per game, at the start of the phase, you can choose a spellcaster within 12 inches. Choose one of the spells during the enemy player's turn. They may not use the chosen spell. Once per game, but it's in... okay, so it's amended to say once per game at the start of one of your ranged phases. Okay, so you have to pick that specific moment to use it, not just once per game. You can't select it any time. Berserkers. Page 73. So this is a change to the dwarves. So they're actually amended to 40 in 18 rather than 50 in 18. So Berserker troops have taken a slight hit there. Both gain the Slayer melee d6 special rule. Yes, that was already there. Page 74, Elves. War chariots no longer irregular. Okay. Chariots need some kind of boost because you don't see a lot of them typically. They've got really big unwieldy bases. So anything to give them a bit of a bump, that's fine by me. Page 75, King's Champion. Amend unit strength to 0. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Seems like it should have been 0 the whole time. Page 76, Human Clansman. What have they done with them here? Amend defense to 4 and points costs to... Oh, so they've taken out add the following options. Replace the original options with the following. So you can upgrade them to Norge, Bic Clansman, decreasing defense with some values. Okay, or exchange shields for 200 weapons. Lowering defense 3+ and gaining crushing strength 2 for 0 points. Okay, not saying too much of a change there. Page 76. Sekarina the Ice Queen. Okay, where are we? Ah, there we go. So, add the special rule, Master of Ice. When targeting friendly core Frostbound units or enemy units which have the Frozen special rule, this unit can re-roll one of the dice that failed to hit with Bane Chant, Heal, Icy Breath, Wind Blast, Surge, or Blizzard. Sounds good. Just an extra rule. Death by Dragons. Can't believe I've missed 20 minutes of insightful, penetrating analysis. It's been deeply, deeply probing analysis We have left no crevice untouched in our quest to shine light on what can be an impenetrable document to those in the community who maybe aren't top players like us. So, page 77, Forces of Nature. Hunters of the Wild, what's changed there? Amend points costs to 90 and 140. Where's that then? Where is Hunters of the Wild? Why can't I see it? My eyes do not want to see Hunters of the Wild. Okay, I'm moving on. Bored looking for that. Scorch Wings. Scorch Wings. Replaced with Scorch... Ah, I see. Okay. So they're going to be irregular then. Okay. Page 78. Mammoth. Call to Greatness. What's changed here? Unit special rule should read, as long as the unit present, regardless of range. Okay, yeah, because friendly core unit with the ogre keyword within 12 inches, regardless of range, would not make sense. So regardless of range has gone, and it's just regardless of line of sight. Okay, we can understand that. That's a nice simple one. Page 88, Tortured Souls. Add the following unit. This unit is no longer irregular. Tortured Souls, I thought they were pretty good, so not being irregular, little bump for them. Fleabag Chariots no longer irregular. Very important, I think. Goblins. Have I ever seen Fleabag Chariots in a Goblin army? I'm going to say no. I may have done once or twice, but I do not remember seeing them. Let's see, so lots of Scorch Wings being replaced with Scorch Wings asterisk. Page 90. Upgrade to Groany Snark, the Goblin. So what is different here? So, amend the text to the following. Increase speed to 10 and gain fly. Yep, Thunderous Charge 2. Blast D3. Special rule. Ah, so they've clarified that it's Blast D3 only for close combat and not also for shooting. Okay, I think that's the change there. Next, page 104, oh, that's just more Scorch Wings. Page 109, anyone who takes Scorch Wings, by the way, let me know how that's going to affect you, or anyone who is likely to take them now, based on this change, because I don't even really know what they are. 109, we've got Kreiser's Gore Impaler. Amend unit strength to 1. So what was it before? Unit strength 0. And it was a hero monster chariot. And it previously had unit strength 0. I can only imagine that was just a mistake. So that's been fixed. And page 111. Lathiel Bleakheart. Very subtle name there. And that unit, who is an individual, has gone down to unit strength 0 and lost 3 attacks. Okay, so they're really telling you, look, we made a mistake. This unit is not supposed to be fighting, and it's not supposed to be able to score you points. We made it too good. It's supposed to be a spellcaster. Deal with it. Okay, fair enough. Page 111, formation, the crew of the Black Hydra. Amend total formation cost plus 30 points. It says 25 here, so a 5-point difference. Let's see if we think it warrants that. So you take Lee's the Soulless, 1 Soulbane, for plus 15 points. The Soulless Shards, 1 regiment of 2 troops of Blade Dancers, plus 5 points per unit. All units in this formation gain the keyword the Soulless Shards and the Wild Charge 1 special rule. Lee's gains the Rallying 1, the Soulless Shards special rule. Lowers his defense to 4+ and increases both his speed and attacks to 7. He also may not take a mount. So, yeah, without knowing anything about those units, I have no idea how that will affect them in any way. But it now costs you 30 points instead of 25. Death by Dragon says, Scorch Wings were always good, now they're just gooderer. Great chaff shooting, so mobile and annoying. Well, that sounds like fun. I look forward to facing a lot more of those on the table, and having them shoot my gargoyles off with relative ease. Okay, have we reached the end of the document now? yes, so that is everything in blue in the new FAQ. If anyone spotted anything or any implications of any of the rules that I skimmed over or didn't grasp at the first attempt, then feel free to let me know in the comments, and let's get some red hot sizzling debate going down there, because obviously comments drive video engagement, so I've got to use every strategy possible to get you to comment in there. And I'm not even going to resort to the kind of clickbaity video tactics where I'll list the top 10 of something and then leave out one of the most obvious choices, so everyone will be in the comments saying, you forgot about this. I'm not going to do anything like that on this channel. I'm just going to ask you nicely to comment and let me know what you think of the content of the video that is as good as I can make it, not leaving anything out for engagement purposes. I think that's it. So let's bring up the episode thumbnail there, which vastly different from the screen you've just been looking at, I think you'll agree. And during this festive season, what else can you expect from Kings of War on this channel? Well, I'm lining up games for various systems over the next few weeks. Kings of War is likely to be one of them, so keep your eyes peeled for battle reports. I think the next Kings of War tournament isn't for a little bit over a month. I think I've got a Dead Zone tournament before that, so there'll be some Dead Zone content coming your way as well. I still haven't talked about the new Dead Zone edition on this channel, I think, so I need to do a live show on that at some point. I don't think I can make it a regular weekly show for Dead Zone because I don't play it enough. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, for some ungodly reason you're not a subscriber. Don't forget to like the video, obviously. Let me know what you thought of the spicy content being delivered to your face via the internet. Let me know if you appreciated the snow effects to get you in the festive spirit as we head into Christmas and all that surrounding excitement during this magical time of year. And obviously, if you want to keep this channel afloat during these dark, turbulent times, then why not become a patron and just fling endless cash at me in order to produce more top-notch, probing, red-hot, sizzling, spicy, tender, succulent, moist, juicy, dishlicious, finger-licking good content straight into your eyeballs and your ear holes via the power of the internet. Surely that's got to be worth something in these crazy times we live in. Okay, everybody. All that remains to be said is good night out there, whatever you are. And Merry Christmas and all that nonsense. Ho ho ho.